A lot of us think that Ron Paul is going to do very well when he runs for president this time. Have you had any experience with him in Congress that would lead us to think that he's going to become more favorable on our issue here?
No. Yes, I've had plenty of experience with him. He's a great guy. I admire and really, really, truly do appreciate his positions on a lot of issues. I do not think he's coming our way on this one.
Would you be able to meet with him and talk to him about it?
Anytime.
Anytime? Okay, great.
Absolutely. Of course I would. Of course I would. We had it, we did go through a presidential primary and together, he and I, and that's the only thing we really had. Well, that and we had another little issue about whether or not we're really facing a threat from radical Islam.
By the way, on that, Congressman, thank you for supporting Ron Paul at that Des Moines shutout, where they shut Ron Paul out of the presidential debate in Des Moines in July of 2007. You were the man that stood up and said he should be in there.
Sure, well, absolutely.
Thank you.
Should have been absolutely true. Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
How do we stop organizations from, like Heritage, for instance, that are doing this whole pandering? I've read the website in Spanish. It's offensive. It's patronizing. They all read like lectures. They certainly don't read like they're talking to Americans who want to be a part of our system. So what's the point of that? And what do we do? And when such an organization like that sets the tone, it just seems like it kind of gives everyone else permission or a mandate to do the same.
Exactly.
Repeat the question.
So I'm sorry. Yeah, the lady asks, what do we do with organizations like Heritage that, on their website they have a Spanish language version, I guess, of the things that they say, and she says it's pandering and offensive. I don't know what to tell you there. I mean, if you're a big contributor, they'll listen to you. That's about it, as far as I know. What you can try to accomplish with Heritage. The proof will be in the pudding in a lot of these races. I mean, they are petrified that more Hispanics will run who have our point of view and be elected. Now, they are scared to death of that, really. Because, of course, it just changes everything that they've been saying. It belies everything that they're saying. And so what I would do is work for every conservative Hispanic running for office in America that you could find, Republican especially, or conservative generally, and especially on the immigration issue. Get them elected. We get enough elected, and they'll kind of sort of send them to wash away. Sir.
I'm going to make a suggestion, and I think I sort of heard this on the internet, and I was trying to do an op-ed on this, but I'm going to just bring it up in this room. I think that if the GOP wants to win at this issue, they ought to say, hey, look, okay, let's talk about it. But the very first thing that we do is take the idea that anybody that we grant any pathway to citizenship, the very first thing we do is take voting off the table, so that anybody who gets that pathway loses the right to vote for at least a cycle. And then you're going to look at Democrats that are going, oh, wait a minute, we're not really interested in helping these guys unless they can vote.
Right.
And that's the way to short circuit this.
Did y'all hear that question? Just, the issue of whether you can take that out of the equation, and you can. There's often a discussion about amnesty, and the suggestion comes up periodically about taking the ability to vote out of it. Say, okay, we'll give you that. But there is a problem. Because, of course, it's just like the debate over the DREAM Act. The debate over the DREAM Act wasn't really whether or not we were going to allow people who are here illegally at no fault of their own. They came with their parents. They had no to say and all that. That was the heart-tugging part of it. But the reality is, at the end of the day, what they said was, we're going to amnesty these people. You have to understand, the minute you do that, you give amnesty to these folks that are here for that purpose. But immediately, when you get that status in this country, you begin to apply, you can apply, if everybody would, for that status for their whole family. So it's not just amnesty for those people, it's amnesty for everybody. They know all their family, then their family, then their family. That's the way it's done. So you still got a problem, even if you try to restrict it without the vote for those people. Do you then continue and say, and anybody that they bring in, anybody that they are able to see, I mean, you go on forever.
No, but the only thing I'm saying is that you put the hypocrisy
over on their
the
side.
Table.
You're saying that the debate would be a great debate because would the Democrats support it? I'm afraid they would, simply because they know that in the long run, even if you can only give 5 million amnesty a day, 10 million, whatever it will be, that won't be able to vote, they will in turn be able to represent far more who will, and they'll probably support the whole idea.
Is there a difference in voting patterns between recent Hispanic immigrants and those who, like you said, have been in the country?
You know what? I don't know. That's nothing I've ever seen. I don't know any demographic study or breakdown on it. I just don't know. You got a kind of a gut feeling on it, you know.
Yeah.
But I do not know the answer to that question. I haven't seen anything. Yes, ma'am.
Two quick questions. One, is there a 2012 presidential contender, and I'm not asking you to endorse them, but whose position
Alan West.
on whose position on immigration you feel like is, sort of the best line? And secondly, I think
Alan
the
West.
consensus is that immigration has taken more of a backseat as first fiscal issues are sort of the top of the agenda for the Republican Party right now. Do you feel like national Republicans, aren't doing enough on this issue?
The Republican Party is, it drives me nuts because they have an issue. They have an issue right in front of them that could be the most significant, the most important issue they can bring forward. It is this, and I'll tell you why it's immigration, because the economy is the issue. Well, what do you do about the fact that right now the infrastructural cost for illegal immigration in this country is enormous? FAIR, Friends of Immigration Reform, American Immigration Reform, did this study. You've got to get a hold of it if you haven't seen it. Breaks down the infrastructural costs in every state. Costs for health care, which is the big one, education, prison systems, and social services, right? In Colorado, it was $1.4 billion a year. Our deficit for next year in Colorado is $1.2 billion. We have a higher cost for illegal immigration infrastructure than our deficit. The same is true for 15 other states, including California. This is the ultimate economic issue, because not only are you talking about the infrastructural costs, you're talking about the costs, the job cost. I mean, we bring in 165,000 legal immigrants every month. Remember, we have to, in fact, create about 200,000 jobs a month for a year in order to turn this recession around. Okay? That's what we keep being told. Well, last month we created 37,000 jobs in the private sector. Supposed to create 200,000 a month in order to get, for a year, to get out. We bring in 165,000 legal immigrants every month. I mean, talk about that. And I know people say, well, you're against immigration. No, I am telling you, there is no rationale that I can think of to bring 165,000 people a month into the country who are looking for jobs. These are not people, because our immigration policy is one based entirely on family unification. It's not one based on what we need. It's not like, do we need doctors or lawyers? Oh, God knows we need no more lawyers. But I mean, what do we need? What are our needs? You know, what? Nurses, whatever, conservatives. Let's find some of them and bring them into this country. But my point is that, these are all people looking for a job. Okay, and we bring in 160. God only knows how many are coming across the border every month. Why isn't that a topic? Why isn't somebody talking about that from the standpoint of the economy? It seems to me to be perfect. Every report I have ever read. I mean, no, I won't take that back. There are certainly statistics on both sides, but you can get tons of valid, really very good information about what are the real costs of illegal immigrants in this country. It doesn't wash out with what they pay in taxes, so it's a cost to us. Why not talk about that? Well, they're fearful for the reasons we just described here a minute ago about, turning off the Hispanic vote. But who are you talking to? If you make the point that the people most hurt, the ones that suffer the worst with massive immigration, both legal and illegal, of low wage and low skilled worker, who's hurt most in this society? Is it not mostly black or brown, or certainly people at the lower end of the economic ladder? They're the ones that suffer this. What happens to wage rates when you have massive, massive immigration, both legal and illegal, of low-wage, low-skilled workers? There's a depressing effect. All of these things are great issues if somebody would articulate them. And no, I have not seen a single person right now. We were just talking about it at lunch, as a matter of fact, and trying to determine ourselves, you know, what's going to happen? Who are we? And we went through, we ticked off everybody we could think of it. To tell you the truth, right now, I don't have great hopes for this being a major issue in the presidential primary. Yes, ma'am.
This is going to be the last question.
Oh, okay, all right.
Well, that'll be the last question. Whatever her.
Congressman?
Yes, ma'am. Oh, hey, hey.
Yes,
Good to see
we
you.
know one another, and I'm here with Joan Hewter.
Hello, Joan. Oh my God! Please, everybody, whether you know it or not, you owe her a round of applause. Both of these ladies. They've been laboring in this particular vineyard for a long, long time. God bless you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You have come down and visited us in Cochise County, Arizona.
Sure have.
On the Arizona-Mexican border. Could you please speak to that, especially regarding my neighbor and rancher, Rob Krentz,
Yes.
who was murdered by drug smugglers?
Oh no,
And-
that can't be, right?
Oh, right. And just for the record, our county is now under the control of the Sinaloa cartel.
Yeah.
So please speak to that.
Well, I don't know about what more I can say. Rob Krentz, I've known for some 10 years. We've gone down to the border many, many times, met with all the ranchers down there. I was there the day I was speaking in, oh gosh, little town, I'll think of it in a minute, to a Tea Party meeting on a Saturday. Sunday we were to meet with a group of ranchers, and the meetings, I got a call about 1 o'clock in the morning, and they said, one of the ranchers can't be there tomorrow. And I said, why are you calling me at 1 o'clock in the morning to tell me that? He said, because they just found his body. And it was Rob Krentz, who had been killed absolutely by an illegal alien who drug running activity on his land. Long story short, the fact is, he's just one of literally hundreds of people who have suffered that particular outcome and been killed. They are dead. This is not just, you know, property vandalized. There's hundreds. That one captured the imagination of a lot of people there because so many people knew Rob. But we see this thing happening all over, and of course, Janet Incampitano says that there's that everything is okay, everything is fine, the border is secure. More secure than it's ever been, she says. Of course, she wouldn't set foot there, I wouldn't think, for any length of time, for fear of what might happen. And because it is not secure, it is a war zone. And the idea that you can stop all the drug wars and drug activity by simply having a border, you know, is ridiculous. Of course not. All that violence has spilled over into the United States. You could go on and on. You know, I think most of you know the problems that we have on our border because it's not secure. All I can tell you is this, that this country faces enormous challenges, certainly in the economy. We just talked about that. And one of the reasons why I have spent as much time as I've spent in my political career dealing with this issue is because once you get into it, just put your toe in that water, you begin to realize the scope of the problem. What you thought was just this big a problem initially that you should probably pay a little bit of attention to, pretty soon you understand how much it affects our ability to provide health care services to everybody that's here. How many in California, how many illegal aliens are on dialysis every week? 1,160. In just California, getting dialysis treatment every week. It will go on for the rest of the... Many of them, of course, have already received transplants at the expense of an American citizen who couldn't get it. I mean, go figure. You talk about our healthcare system, and you can, there are thousands. I remember being on the border in a